Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. Alright, let's go ahead and let's do another entry here. This one yet again based on one of your new suggestions. This one having to do with a very creepy, very scary creature that is also part of Native American lore. So how about that? When I'm talking about skinwalkers and some of the other encounters video, apparently there's yet another version of a witch, something that is in turn pretty evil, pretty powerful, and terrorizes many people, and has done so apparently for a long time. So as far as this creature, this is definitely something you don't want to come across, although there are ways to be able to stop this creature just in case if you are within its territory. But interesting stuff all around. In fact, you're looking at a representation of it now. Has a very unique name too. It's known as the Stikini. Hope I'm saying that correctly, Stikini. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the fascinating information associated with this powerful and evil cryptid-like monster. So here's essentially what it is. Apparently, this has been around for a long time, centuries in fact, and that's why it's part of Native American lore. In fact, it's been tied with Seminole folklore. So if you ever hear any old tales associated with the Stikini, those seem to be part of that particular culture. And the way this thing works is this. Very similar, in fact, actually, to things involving skinwalkers. I wonder if they're essentially one or the other, or if they're different versions of each other. But it turns out that they used to be human. These Stikinis used to be regular humans, but were in turn witches. And in turn, they became bad witches. In fact, they became so bad, that then so evil, that they became almost this owl-like humanoid. It was this idea where if you cross a man and an owl, that's essentially what you'll have here. The way it looks like is it has the head of an owl, but traditionally more along the lines of the body of a human. Like, let's say the arms, maybe sometimes the legs, but of course it has those gigantic wings as well. So imagine that horrifying image when you see something like this coming down upon you, and you can see why it's terrorized so many villages there in Seminole folklore for so long. But yes, apparently it was a witch that became so evil, it was able to use its powers to then take on this other type of humanoid animal mishmash type form. And the way it does it is it comes about whenever there's a moon outside. I don't know if it's essentially like a full moon or if it's something else, but once that happens, they go out there into the forest. They go far away, in other words, from where anyone can see them, because they do not want to know who they are, like in other words, as regular humans. Instead, they want to make sure that they keep that anonymity between them. But once they're out there in the forest-like area, almost like, let's say, a werewolf or a vampire turning into their monstrous forms, such as the case here with the Stikini. Once it's there, it basically vomits up its internal organs. How about that when it comes to a transformation, right? It vomits up those organs, leaves it there, blood and all, and then that allows it to then just fly up into the air. Now it's 100% this mishmash of a man-owl, and then it starts feasting upon humans. This thing loves to hunt humans. It loves to feast on them. It loves targeting them. It loves terrorizing them as well. For centuries, there are just tales of this thing apparently using the nighttime, especially when it comes to its wings and its ability to fly. People have told me in the comments already how owls, you cannot hear them coming, right? Like it's 100% silent whenever their wings are flapping and they're gliding down. So I could just imagine it's the same with the Stikini. Once it's out there and then it targets anyone, then it's able to just come about, and almost like it's chasing a wild animal, it snatches its prey and then starts feeding on them. In fact, they've been known to have tremendous, just absolutely powerful strength. It uses its talons, it uses its arms. It can basically rip a full-grown person in half with very much ease. And that's the way it's able to do so much when it comes to its successful hunts, because it uses not just itself, but it's tremendous strength to be able to do this type of act in a very, very quick fashion. In fact, its delicacy is this: it really enjoys eating hearts. So if you're ever in the vicinity of a Stikini, that's when you're going to have very bad luck, especially if it comes about and it tries to get you and it absolutely finds you and catches you, then it's going to start eating your heart immediately. So very scary stuff, at least when it comes to this Native American type creature. Now, there are several ways, though, to know how you can protect yourself from these very evil creatures. One idea is this: you can hear its banshee-like cry from a long distance away. It's supposed to be something that's very bad, very guttural, very horrible sounding. So if you hear something like that out there in the forest, then you know that essentially it's going to be best to turn away, go in another direction. Do not go, at least in the direction of that banshee-like scream. Another way is this: if you see organs out there, just regular human organs, obviously that's going to be a sight that'll throw people off already. But if you see this out there in the forest type area, then you'll know you're in the vicinity of a Stikini, because as I mentioned a minute ago, it throws up its organs, leaves them there, and then that way it's doing its nightly hunt. So if you see this random type of organs out there, then know that you're in that vicinity and you want to get away as quickly as possible. But interestingly enough, there are ways to be able to still protect yourself if you're in the crosshairs of one of these Stikinis. It ties back to those organs that I was just mentioning. If you see those organs, you can apparently destroy them. I don't know if you set them on fire. I don't know if you bury them or do anything else, but either way, destroy them. And what that does is it prevents the Stikini to go back to its human form. This in turn causes it to face sunlight. So eventually night obviously will become daytime, and when that occurs, the Stikini cannot go back to its protected human form out there in the sunlight. So obviously this will destroy it, and when that happens, it just dies a horrible death. So that's one thing when it comes to that. Another one is apparently having to do with more on the lines of like vampires, where you can hunt it, but I didn't find much details associated with that. And obviously not too many people want that type of experience to considering how dangerous the Stikini is. So I couldn't find more information. Instead, more on the lines is protect yourself by going away from anything involving those screams, or going away from finding those organs, or if you do have one chasing you and you remember where those organs were, then you can essentially destroy them and then be able to have the Stikini be lost. It won't convert back. I guess it's too out of its mind at that point. And so when that occurs, then it just dies later afterward in the sunlight. But interesting stuff all around when it comes to this Native American folklore. Just another creature, something else again that is involved with that type of mythology. Again, very similar, right, when it comes to the world of skinwalkers as well. But if anybody has any more info, anything else I might have missed, then please post those comments below. What about those of you that are Native Americans and know more information on this? Please let me know. Although I mentioned this, apparently there in the Native American culture, if you talk about Stikinis, at least within some parts of the culture, it's considered a very, very bad thing. You don't even want to bring it up, in other words. And then in other parts of Native American culture, it's more along the lines of boogeyman. Like, it is talked about, but it's done to make sure that children don't do bad things and then run into the Stikini. But again, if anybody has more info on a local level, I'd definitely love to hear that too. All right, everybody. Thanks again as always. Take care. Bye.